If you've spent any time on YouTube or TikTok lately, you've probably seen the headlines. Like, more people are leaving Colorado than moving here. Denver prices are finally falling. You start wondering, are we headed for a crash? Is Denver actually over? Well, before you let the clickbait freak you out, guys, let's walk through what's really happening in the Denver market in 2026 and what it means for you if you're thinking about moving here. And by the end of this video, you'll have a clear game plan. Do you wait? Do you buy now? Or do you pivot to maybe a different strategy? All right, so let's go ahead and zoom out and look at what the numbers actually say. Recent reports using Colorado Association of Realtors data all say the same thing, that the market has definitely shifted, but we're going from this absolute frenzy that we had from about 2020 to 2022, 2023 to a slower, more negotiable, more normal market. For the 7-county Denver metro markets, these reports show that new listings are up compared to last year, meaning new inventory. Pending contracts are up almost 8%, but closed sales are down about 14 to 15%. So what does this tell you? Well, this just tells you that buyers are being a little bit pickier. They're taking longer to come to a decision, and ultimately deals are taking a little bit longer to come together. Now, talking about pricing, the reports also show that the median sales price dipped about 2.5% to roughly $550,000, and an average days on market jumping up to around 80 days, which is more than 20% from just over a year ago. And speaking specifically to Denver, those other market updates are showing the same thing. More homes for sale, they're sitting longer, and we have more months of inventory, closer to the 4-month range instead of the 1 to 2 months. Now, what does that mean exactly? So whenever we talk months of inventory, that means if no other home were to go on the market after today, how long would it take for all those homes to be gone? So when we say 4 months of inventory, that means if no homes went on the market after today, all the homes on the market would be gone in about 2 months. Now, for a balanced market, you want about 6 months of inventory. And right now we're at about 4, so we're still not even quite to a fully balanced market. It had just been so dry at about 3 to 4 weeks of inventory on the market that now that we have 4 months of inventory, it feels like a lot, and it feels like things are taking a lot longer. So ultimately, when you hear Denver's crashing or whatever YouTube clickbait you're going to see, the data doesn't necessarily back that up. What it does show is a market that is finally catching its breath and more or less recalibrating. Now let's talk about what everyone is most curious about: prices. Those same Denver reports show early 2026 price declines, roughly about 2 to 3% of the median. And the Colorado Association of Realtors is still seeing slight softening in a lot of markets, but the prices, guys, are still well above the pre-2020 levels. So that means things are really stable right now. Now, some areas are down a bit from the absolute peak for sure. Some areas are basically flat. I'd say most areas are basically flat, but the biggest cuts are mostly on homes that were overpriced to begin with and are now chasing the market down. So when you guys see these 10, 15, maybe 20% price drops on Zillow, a lot of those guys were just priced way over where they should have been to begin with. For the most part, you are seeing prices mostly flat here in the Denver metro area. All right, now real quick before we move on, guys, I want to tell you about our relocation guide that you can download by scanning the QR code right here, or right here, one of these shoulders here, or by texting the word relo to the phone number down below. We have a 41-page relocation guide that's going to tell you everything you need to know about moving to Colorado, in addition to some of our local area guides. So definitely check that out. Let's get right back to the content. Now let's talk about the headlines about more people are leaving Colorado than moving in. Well, the Denver Gazette and a few other outlets reported that for the first time in about 20 years, Colorado had a net loss migration of about 12,000, meaning 12,000 more people left for other states than moved in between 2024 and 2025. So let's explore why people are leaving. Well, by and far, the vast majority are complaining just that housing got expensive really fast. The general cost of living climbed, and a lot of folks are just choosing to go to some lower cost states. But here's the part that a lot of the headlines skip. Colorado's total population still grew about 0.5%, thanks to international migration and just natural population growth within the state. So yes, there are some people that are definitely leaving, but Colorado definitely isn't emptying out. Frankly, guys, I just think we're moving from the insane growth that we've had and coming into just a much more, I'll call it normal market and growth pattern for a state. But what's great for you guys is that slowdown in net migration is one of the biggest reasons that the market has cooled off into something that actually feels a little bit more balanced. Frankly, this is a big sigh of relief. If any of you guys had to move between, let's say, 2020 and 2023, it was absolutely crazy. You're competing with 10 to 15 offers on every home. You're having to go significantly over asking price just to win something. And what you were able to negotiate on was very minimal compared to right now, where you've got a good selection of homes to choose from. Sellers are oftentimes more than willing to negotiate with you. And overall, you just have a little bit more time to make these big decisions as you're going through the process. Now, one thing you're going to notice is that a lot of the builders here, they've had to adjust big time. Buyers are way more payment sensitive right now. And now that there's a lot of inventory, builders can't just name their price, put something on the market and have it sell anymore. Neither can normal traditional sellers. All over the Front Range, even in the Denver metro area, you're seeing things like interest rate buydowns, if you use the builder's preferred lender, closing cost credits that cover a giant chunk of your cash to close amounts, and design center credits or discounts on dirt start lots, design center updates, and especially on quick move-in homes, spec homes, whatever you want to call it. There are tons of opportunities there, and new builds in general are one of the biggest opportunity zones that we're seeing for Colorado buyers this year, because you get slightly softer pricing and all these other layered incentives on top of that. So while the headline is prices are dropping, the more important story out there is that new build neighborhoods that were totally seller driven, and even our resale homes that were completely seller driven just a few years ago, are now very negotiable. Now, considering all these incentives and the amount of inventory they have of these quick move-in homes, if you're moving in from out of state and you want something that is turnkey, you want warranties out of the gate, and you want the modern floor plans, these master plan communities with the pools, clubhouses, all those sort of fun things, new builds are definitely something you should look into, because that is where you're definitely going to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to the monthly payment, which I know is one of the biggest factors when it comes to this affordability problem. There's one more piece here that we wanted to talk about that I haven't heard anybody talk about when it comes to the housing conversation, is how much people in Colorado are actually earning now. Now, a national income study from Realtor.com found that Colorado had the fastest rising incomes in the entire country from 2019 to 2024. The median household income went from about $72,000 in 2019 to about $106,000 in 2024. Now that's like a 47% jump and more than double the national growth of about 21%. So yes, the housing costs went up in Colorado, but the average Colorado household income is making about 40 to 47% more than they were just a few years ago. Now, that doesn't mean that affordability isn't an issue. I completely get it, especially for renters and first-time homebuyers. But it does mean that there's a stronger local income base that's supporting the market, and that makes like a full-blown 2008 style collapse way less likely in this state than a lot of others where maybe incomes didn't keep up as much. So if you guys are watching this from out of state, or maybe you're in Colorado and you hadn't heard that number yet, that is a huge point of context that I wanted to point out here, because that's the part that isn't making the headlines. Again, you'll see Colorado prices are dropping, people are leaving Colorado, but guys, that really is just not the case. Our income is up, our home prices are down a little bit, but honestly, I think that was necessary. And frankly, with our prices coming down a little bit, I don't think anybody is complaining about that. Now, what does all of this actually mean for you if you're moving to Denver? If you were completely priced out a few years ago, right now you're not battling 20 offers like you were and appraisal waivers on any halfway decent homes that were on the market. You can write offers, you can get your inspections done, you can ask for some repairs, you can ask for some seller credits to buy down the rate, and actually take some time and think before we're out there submitting offers. And if you're really rate sensitive, yes, we know rates are up higher right now than they were at the 3% like unicorn years that we had back in 2020. What also came with that was everything that I just mentioned. Now, what you can do is you can use seller credit or builder buydowns to bring your monthly payment down, and you're buying into a market where home prices are going for what they're actually appraising for, not underneath what you're actually paying for the home. So bottom line is, if you're sitting back and waiting for a crash, or you're believing every little headline that's out there right now, guys, you are going to be disappointed. I promise you. Now, if you're planning on selling your home here in Colorado as part of your move, the market will still treat you well, but you've got to be priced accordingly and based off of today's comps, not your neighbor that sold 3 years ago. And if you actually take the time to prepare the home well, get your professional photos, videos, possibly some staging and all of your repairs out of the way, so it shows crisp and clean and really stands out, then you are going to be in good shape. But if you insist on top of the peak pricing and don't pay special attention to the condition, guys, the market is going to be brutally honest with you, and that's going to look like extra days on the market and multiple price cuts. So one of the things Will and I talk about is that, hey, as you're getting ready to list your home, you don't need a realtor, you need a marketer, right? Not just someone that is going to put it at the price you want to put it at and put a sign in the yard. So here's how I would ultimately sum up the Denver market in 2026 and how it is changing. Yes, prices are definitely off the peak, but still well above pre-pandemic levels. There are more homes on the market. They are taking a little bit longer to sell, and buyers actually have negotiating power again, especially in new construction. Now, net migration did go negative for the first time in 20 years. That is true, but Colorado is still growing overall, and obviously people still want to live here. The median household income being up 47% since 2019, and with Colorado being the fastest income growth of any state, just goes to show how the state really is changing. Yes, again, affordability is dropping down, but our income is up. So hopefully that is a net positive for you guys. The market definitely isn't dying here in Colorado, despite what some YouTube thumbnails might say, but it is definitely changing. And guys, if you play it right, that change is actually going to work for you, especially for those of you guys that are coming from other states with massive property taxes or massive income taxes, where Colorado does seem to be just a lot more sensible and reasonable, especially when it comes to those two pricing factors. Guys, if you are watching this from another state and you've been curious if these thumbnails and headlines are true, this is exactly why I'm glad you're watching this video, because you really do need this hyper local advice. Will and I have been doing real estate for about 10 years just together here in Colorado. We work with tons of buyers, so many relocation buyers, and these are the things that we see every single day. So hopefully you guys found this video informative and just a good state of the union, more or less, as it comes to the current real estate market in Colorado and these changes that we're seeing upcoming in 2026. And as a reminder, guys, we are licensed real estate brokers. If you haven't figured that out by now, if you scan the QR code or call the number down below, we would love to jump on a quick 30-minute Zoom call with you guys and help figure out how we can make your move to Colorado that much smoother and come up with a great game plan for your trip out here. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next week.